You can start the chants, run it back for the Warriors. Yes, this was the scene, of course, winning their fourth title, at least for Steph Curry and the crew, others getting their first ring. Chance to repeat in 2022, as they saw get that Larry O.B. sending it back out west in the Steph, Clay, and Dre, and even Steve Kerr era there, holding up the trophy. That crew still pretty much intact as they look to defend starting tonight against the Los Angeles Lakers. That will be good as once we see the association tip off here. Looking at their offseason, of course, not many moves. A few departures here. Gary Payton II, who was big, of course, in the defensive end. Otto Porter was good from the outside form additions. Dante DiVincenzo and JaMychal Green. Outside of that movement, as you see here, they did put pen to paper for some of their stars in Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins, who were big in the postseason. The reason why, or one of the reasons, they have that fourth championship. Double B's on deck. NBA writer Brad Botkin checking in here with the association set to begin the season today. And Brad, the Dubs, one of the favorites to win it again this year. Last couple of days, it's been about everything off the court. A lot has happened within the franchise, away from what we usually see. But convince me that this group, what we have here, can repeat here in 2022.
Well, they got Steph Curry, they got Draymond Green, they got Klay Thompson coming back. All indications are that last year was sort of a gap year to get back from the Achilles and the torn ACL. He wasn't quite himself. You saw him coming back to old form in the playoffs. I think he had 5 games where he had 5 threes in the playoffs. So you saw him coming around. The lateral movement defensively was there. They have all the pieces. I just don't think in this landscape, this is not a Tiger Woods early 2000s situation. For the first time really since I've been covering the NBA, this thing is completely wide open. Parity is the word of the season. So in this landscape, I just don't think that you can take one particular team. I think you have to take the field if you're a betting man, just because there's such a thin margin between every team. There's probably, I would guess, 10 to 12 teams that are right now sitting in their rooms saying, if things break right for us, maybe we make a small move at the deadline, we can compete for this thing. Injuries will tell the tale, as in a large ways they did last year. It's just too much to say that Golden State or any other team, in my mind, Vegas might say it, but is the favorite to win it. I think this thing is as wide open as I've seen it.
If anything, Golden State, of course, we know they had the championship pedigree there. I mentioned the re-signings of Wiggins and Poole. Part of that championship pedigree, Draymond Green, one of those pieces to the story. He's 34 years old coming into the season. Do a lot of money this summer. Could this be the last season we see him in a Golden State uniform?
He might be due a lot of money. And that's the big question. It certainly could be the last season that we see Draymond Green with Golden State. There's a couple of options here. One, he has said that he wants a max deal. If he goes out on the market this summer and he finds it drier than he expects, then he might have to come back to Golden State next year. He has a $27.5 million player option. He wants to secure a longer-term, multi-year deal. But if it's not out there, then that's one of the scenarios. He's kind of forced to come back to Golden State on a player option. But if there's somebody out there that's going to offer him decent annual money, maybe a paid deduction from the 27.5 annually, but more years, say, 20, 60 over 3 years, 20 a year, something like that, he may be forced to leave because Golden State, all the reporting has suggested they're not going to sign Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond Green. Oh, by the way, Klay Thompson's lingering in the background as a free agent in the following summer. The Warriors kind of made a statement, I think, with the timing of their contract renewals of Wiggins and Poole. They came out within an hour of each other. They pretty clearly stated their position that we're choosing these guys. And as much as Draymond Green would balk at this suggestion, I think this year is kind of a tryout for Draymond Green. He's got to prove that he's still worth a lot of money because as the tax in the tax, the Warriors, if they re-sign Green anywhere close to that opt-in number, they're going to be over $500 million, $500 million, including taxes in salary. That's a big, big commitment for a guy that it feels like his game could drop off precipitously once it happens. So it's not for sure that Draymond's gone, but it is certainly on the table that this could be the last year in Golden State. He's got a lot to prove this year.
It's crazy to think a 4-time champ could be going elsewhere after the season is said and done, or at some point this year. Speaking of money here, Russell Westbrook, $40 million when it comes to the Lakers here. That experiment did not work out last season. Looks like they're going to run it back under Darvin Ham here. Chances that stays away this season here, or could we see him moving?
Yeah, they're going to run it back for now. And I'm firmly in the camp that Russell Westbrook will eventually be moved. I don't think the Lakers can hold up to the heat that's going to start coming up from underneath them when Russell Westbrook starts struggling and they get out of the gate slowly. This just isn't a fit. Russell Westbrook is not the player that he used to be, and it compounds that when he doesn't have any spacing that he can offer the Lakers, who already don't have any spacing. So they've already made the move to put him on the bench. I thought it was curious before he hurt his hamstring in the first preseason action where he was coming off the bench for the first time since he was a rookie. I thought it was curious that he came in with LeBron James still on the floor. That has largely been the problem, is that if Russ is going to be effective, he needs the ball in his hands. At least he cannot be a floor spacer. He's literally one of the worst three-point shooters at his position in NBA history. So he needs the ball in his hands, and he's not going to have it in his hands if LeBron is on the floor. So how Darvin Ham handles that rotation early and gets him on the floor and with opportunities to run the offense himself will be big. But I think moving him to the bench is the first move. It'll very quickly come up whether he finishes games. He might have a better shot at doing that early because Dennis Schroeder is out for the first 3 to 4 weeks. But Pat Beverly's the starting point guard, and it is going to be dicey to have Russell Westbrook in the finishing lineup when they already don't have any spacing again. And LeBron James, at his advanced age, he's increasingly dependent on the three-point shot. They're going to run their offense through Anthony Davis in the post. They need spacing, and they don't have any of it. And Russell Westbrook compounds that. I think that eventually the Lakers are going to give in. That Pacers deal is seemingly sitting on the table for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. It's kind of who blinks first. And if the Lakers have to blink and give up both that 2027 and 29 first-round picks, I think they'll do it because in the end, I don't think you can bluff away one of the last years potentially of LeBron James's prime, or at least one of his last years in L.A.
Right, got about a minute here. Before we switch gears, I want to take to the Sixers because James Harden came in slimmer. You get a full season of him, of course, a new deal there. You add some pieces around him.
Underpound.
Yeah, undersized a little bit. Joel Embiid, but how different will they look today against the Celtics in the rest of the season?
I think Daryl Morey did a fantastic job this year. You're right, James Harden does look to be in better shape, and that's a big deal. But the defense that Daryl Morey went out and put around, he's trying to rebuild what he had in Houston in terms of switchable, versatile parts on the perimeter. The P.J. Tucker addition, which was made possible by James Harden being very charitable and taking the rate reduction and taking $33 million a year or something like that. I mean, let's not feel too bad for him, but it allowed him to get Tucker. You can see here, Danuel House, D'Anthony Melton he's a dog at the point of attack. And that's one of the more underrated signings, I think, this year. So they've got Tobias Harris still on the perimeter. Matisse Thybulle is an X factor for this team. He has to be able to stay on the floor, similar to Russell Westbrook, although Westbrook doesn't play Thybulle's defense, but his spacing really hurts Philadelphia. But all in all, Daryl Morey went out and he built this team to cover for James Harden and Tyrese Maxey in the backcourt with switchable, versatile parts on the perimeter in the mold of his Houston teams that were a hair away from a championship with Chris Paul and James Harden in the background or in the backcourt. So I think that Philadelphia did a great job, and I think they're one of the probably top 5 or 6 contenders in the league.
Sixers trying to come out of the Eastern Conference, which is also stacked as well, just like the West here. Brad Botkin, as always, my friend, appreciate your time breaking down everything before we tip off the season association. Taking a look when it comes to the odds here. I mentioned the Warriors, the favorite, right there with the Celtics. Those two met the finals last year. The Clippers at 650. Then you got the Nets and Bucks at 7-1. And there we find James Harden, a slimmer James Harden, 13-1 with the Sixers there in that Eastern Conference.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.